When she said, I don't need a man, don't let that sentence fool you. It sounds strong, it sounds independent, it sounds like she got her life together. But if you really listen, listen past the tone, past the attitude, past the armor, you'll hear pain behind that statement. You'll hear somebody who had to build walls to survive. You'll hear disappointment talking, not power. See, there's a difference between independence and bitterness. A woman that's healed can stand on her own and still appreciate partnership. She ain't afraid of need because she understands needing somebody don't make you weak. It make you human. But when she got hurt too many times, when trust been broken too often, she started telling herself she don't need nobody. That's not strength. That's defense. That's the heart that got tired of being let down. When she says she don't need a man, what she really saying is, I had to teach myself not to expect one. She built a mindset to protect herself from disappointment. She convinced herself she can play both roles, provide, nurture, build, and fight, because she got tired of waiting on somebody to meet her halfway. And somewhere in that grind, she lost the ability to receive love, because you can't hold love with a closed hand, and you can't connect when your guard's always up. I've seen it too many times. Women turn survival into personality. They move through life like they on a mission, not realizing the mission's been over. They already made it, but they still walking like they in the war zone. And when love tries to reach them, they treat it like a threat. They question it. They test it. They push it away just to see if it comes back. That's not healing. That's trauma repeating itself with new faces. Now, I'm not saying depend on nobody to complete you. Now you got to have your own identity, your own grind, your own purpose. But connection is what keeps us balanced. Nobody's supposed to do this life alone. We all need somebody, maybe not for money, not for status, but for energy, peace, alignment, the kind of bond that don't take from you, it feeds you. And when a woman says she don't need that, it's usually because she never experienced it in its purest form. She saw control instead of care. She saw manipulation instead of love. So she threw the whole idea away. The truth is, that statement ain't power, it's pain dressed in pride. It's saying, I've been through too much to trust again. But the thing about healing is, you can't heal by rejecting everything that once hurt you. You heal by redefining it. You learn to recognize who deserves a place in your peace and who don't. You stop building from anger and start building from awareness. But here's the dangerous part for men. When you meet a woman who talks like that and you think you can love her past her wounds, you better understand what you're walking into. You're not just loving her, you fighting her history. You competing with ghosts you can't see. Every time you show care, she'll test it. Every time you try to lead, she'll resist it, because her heart don't know how to receive without preparing for pain. That's why you gotta peep the energy early. Don't take it personal, but don't try to play savior either. You can't heal somebody who built their identity around not needing you. You'll exhaust yourself trying to prove your value to somebody who's convinced nobody can add to theirs. Let her find her peace first. Let her rebuild trust with herself before she tries to build it with you. See, love ain't about needing. It's about choosing. It's about saying, I can do this alone, but I'd rather do it with you. That's healthy. That's balance. But when she says she don't need nobody, that means she's not ready to choose anybody either. Her independence turned into isolation, and no matter how strong she looks on the surface, deep down she's tired. She just don't know how to say it. So when you hear those words, take them for what they are, a reflection of pain that's never been released. Respect it, but don't let it trap you. You can't be the medicine for somebody who refuses to admit they sick. Walk away with peace, not pride, because some people gotta lose a few more battles with themselves before they realize needing love ain't weakness, it's human. And real strength, it ain't in saying, I don't need a man. Real strength is saying, I'm ready to let love in again. When she tell you you're too emotional, understand what's really being said. That ain't about you being soft. That's about her being uncomfortable with truth. See, emotion don't mean weakness. It means connection. It means you got depth. You got a heart that still feels in a world that keep telling men to stay numb. But a lot of people can't handle that. They want love, but not honesty. They want loyalty, but not vulnerability. They want your strength, but not your soul. When she say you too emotional, what she really saying is, your truth makes me see parts of myself I'm not ready to face. That's what it is. You expressing something real, and she can't meet you there. So instead of listening, she label it, she flip it on you. That's emotional manipulation in disguise, making you feel guilty for caring, making you doubt the very thing that makes you human. But don't let that change your nature, homie. Don't stop feeling just because someone else too afraid to feel. Real emotion don't make you less of a man, it make you authentic. We've been trained to think being cold is power, that being detached means control. But that's the same lie that's killing connection. You can't build no real bond if you gotta hide your feelings to keep the peace. That's not peace, that's silence. That's slow poison. A woman who can't handle your emotion don't want partnership, she want performance. She want the image of strength without the weight of vulnerability. But strength ain't pretending you good all the time. Strength is being honest. When you're not, it's saying, yeah, I feel that, and still standing tall after. That's what being solid really means. See, too many people confuse emotional control with emotional suppression. They think ignoring feelings equals maturity, but being aware of your emotions and expressing them with balance, that's real maturity, that's presence. When you can say, this bothered me or that hurt, and still move with discipline, that's growth. But when she can't accept that, when she tell you you're too emotional just for being real, that's her way of saying she only wants the version of you that's easy to deal with. And that's dangerous because love ain't about comfort, it's about truth. It's about both people having space to be real without judgment. If you can't be transparent around the person you love, you in the wrong environment. You start shrinking yourself just to fit in her definition of a man. You start bottling up pain, frustrations, thoughts, until one day you explode. And when you do, she'll say, see, I told you you're too emotional. That's how the cycle works. Silence you, then blame you, when silence turns to explosion. So you gotta recognize that pattern early. Don't argue with it, just observe it. Because when someone can't handle emotion, it's usually because they never learned to regulate their own. They see your expression as confrontation instead of communication. They grew up in chaos where emotions meant danger, not connection. So when you bring them calm honesty, they panic. They mistake it for weakness because they never experienced peace that speaks softly. But you can't water down your truth to protect someone's insecurities. You can't dim your light just to make them comfortable in their shadow. If your feelings make her defensive instead of understanding, she not trying to build with you, she trying to control the energy. That's not love, that's ego management. And I'm telling you, never let someone shame you for feeling the same emotions that make you cry are the ones that make you build, create, and love deeply. The same heart that gets hurt is the one that inspires you to evolve. You can't separate your emotions from your greatness. They part of your design. So when she throw that line at you, you too emotional, smile and understand she just showed you her limit. She showed you the wall, don't break yourself trying to climb over it. Step back, breathe, and keep your peace intact. Real love don't make you silence your truth. It don't call your emotions a problem, it values them. Because in real connection, emotion is the language. That's how understanding grows. That's how trust gets built. You ain't too emotional, you just dealing with somebody who ain't emotionally developed enough to meet you where you're at. You operate on vibration, she operate on defense. Don't lower your frequency to match confusion. Keep speaking from your heart, keep feeling with purpose. Because emotion, that's not your weakness, that's your power. And one day you'll meet somebody who don't call you too emotional. She'll call you real, she'll call you rare. She'll see that sensitivity as strength, that honesty as leadership. And when that happens, you'll realize you never needed to change. You just needed to be understood by the right one. When she say my ex was crazy, you better slow down and listen to how she say it, not just what she say. Because that line right there, that's not just a story, that's a signal. It sound innocent, sound casual, but it tells you everything about how she views accountability. See, when somebody calls every ex crazy, what they're really saying is, I never looked in the mirror. They move from situation to situation, blaming everybody but themselves, never stopping to ask, what did I bring to that chaos? People love to paint themselves as a victim in every chapter. It's easier that way. It's cleaner. It lets you walk away feeling blameless. But if every relationship ends in the same kind of storm, maybe the storm ain't them, maybe it's you. And that's what she won't admit. When she says her ex was crazy, she's rewriting history to protect her ego. She's building a story that keeps her comfortable because facing her own flaws would mean facing pain she's still hiding from. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes people really do go through toxic situations. Sometimes they really did survive something wild. But there's a difference between telling your truth and building a narrative to escape growth. You can always tell the difference by her tone. If she talk about it with reflection, she learned from it. If she talk about it with anger and pride, she's still living in it. And if she's still living in it, you next in line to play the villain in her story when things go left. See, words like that, my ex was crazy, they sound light until you realize they're setting up the script for how she gonna treat you. Because if she never accepted what she did wrong before, she not gonna accept it with you either. The same patterns that broke her last situation gonna follow her right into yours. The same lack of accountability, the same defensiveness, the same need to be right all the time. And when things start falling apart, she gonna reach for the same line. You crazy too. That's why you gotta watch more than what she says. Watch how she moves. Does she take responsibility for anything? Does she ever say, yeah, I could have handled that better? Or is it always somebody else's fault? Because a woman who can't admit when she's wrong is a woman who gaslights you just to protect her pride. She'll flip every situation till you start doubting your own memory. That's not love. That's control. That's emotional warfare disguised as storytelling. I've seen it too many times. A man gets caught up trying to prove he's different, trying to show her he's not like the last one. But that's a trap, bro. Because when she says her ex was crazy, she's not just talking about it, she's setting a bar. You're going to spend the rest of your time trying to clear. You're going to move careful, over-explain yourself, hide your emotions, all because you don't want to get labeled the same way. And in doing that, you start losing yourself just to stay in her version of peace. The truth is, anybody who labels everyone from their past as crazy is running from something inside themselves. Maybe it's guilt, maybe it's shame, maybe it's trauma, but whatever it is, it's unfinished business. And if she ain't dealt with it, you're going to end up paying for somebody else's mistakes. You'll spend your days defending yourself against ghosts that ain't even yours. That's why it's important to see the signs early and not ignore them just because the chemistry feel right. Energy don't lie, but lust will blind you if you let it. What she calls crazy might just be accountability she couldn't handle. It might be a man who finally stopped tolerating disrespect. It might be somebody who called her out on her games, and now that truth got rewritten as drama. So ask yourself if she can call a man crazy for reacting to pain, what's she gonna call you when you stop tolerating her? Real people don't label their past, they learn from it. They don't need to destroy their ex's image to justify their own. They can say it didn't work out. We both had our faults and move forward with peace. That's maturity. But when a story sounds like rehearsed victimhood, that's a red flag wrapped in charm. So when you hear her say, my ex was crazy, don't argue, don't try to prove her wrong. Just understand she just told you her mindset. She told you how she sees relationships, how she handles pain, how she rewrites truth. And when you understand that, you got to decide, are you willing to be the next character in that same story? Or are you ready to walk away before you become her next crazy ex? Because at the end of the day, it's better to recognize a pattern than to repeat one. And sometimes the smartest thing you can do is listen the first time someone tells you who they really are, even if they think they're talking about somebody else. When she hits you with that line, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Understand what she's really saying. She's giving herself permission to stay the same. That phrase sound cute, sound confident, sound like self-love, but deep down it's a shield. It's a way to justify chaos instead of accountability. Because the truth is, love ain't about handling somebody's worst, it's about growing past it together. But if she using her worst as a weapon, she already telling you she don't plan on changing. See, that line gets thrown around like it's gospel, like being difficult, disrespectful, or emotionally reckless is something to be proud of, like pain is proof of passion. But that's not strength, that's damage. Real strength is when you can look at your flaws and say, I gotta fix that. Not when you tell somebody else they gotta suffer through it just to prove they love you. When she said that, what she's really saying is, my pain comes before your peace. She's telling you, accept me even when I'm toxic, even when I'm wrong, even when I'm tearing things down. That ain't love, bro. That's control. That's her trying to see how far she can push before you break. And if you accept it, you teaching her how to mistreat you. You showing her your limits don't exist. Love ain't supposed to be a test you constantly failing. It's not supposed to feel like survival. You shouldn't have to handle somebody's worst just to earn access to their best. Because if their best only show up when they're happy, that means it ain't consistent, it's conditional. And real love got to be built on balance, on respect, on effort, both ways. I've seen a lot of people confuse loyalty with endurance. They think holding on through abuse, disrespect, or chaos makes them strong. But holding on ain't strength if what you're holding on to is breaking you. Love don't mean tolerating pain that ain't yours to carry. It means standing with someone who's trying, not someone who's hiding behind excuses. That phrase, handle me at my worst, usually comes from people who've never been held accountable. They've been rewarded for bad behavior, for outbursts, for playing victim. They use that line to flip the pressure, to make you feel like leaving makes you weak, when really it means you finally value your peace. Because the person who truly loves you won't make you walk through fire to prove it. They'll put in the work to make sure you both stay warm without burning each other down. You gotta listen between the words. When she say it with pride, like it's a challenge, like it's some test you gotta pass, understand that she's protecting her ego, not her love. People who really love you don't use suffering as a loyalty test. They use communication, understanding, patience, not pain. And here's the thing, we all got it worse. We all got moments we fall short, lose patience, slip up, get defensive. That's human. But the difference between someone growing and someone toxic is the response after. A real one will say, my bad, I was wrong, I'll do better next time. But the other kind, she'll spin it. She'll say, that's just how I am, or if you love me, you deal with it. That's not self-awareness, that's manipulation. You can't build peace with somebody who gets comfortable in chaos. You can't teach accountability to somebody who thinks it's weakness. You can't keep showing up for somebody who only shows growth when it's convenient. You'll end up exhausted trying to fix a pattern that was never yours to fix. And I'm telling you, the longer you stay, the more you'll start thinking it's normal. You start questioning yourself, wondering if maybe you're too sensitive, maybe you're tripping. But you're not, you just got used to surviving love instead of experiencing it. And that's the kind of damage that leaves scars you don't see until it's too late. So when she throw that line at you, don't argue, don't defend yourself, just listen. Because she just told you how she sees relationships, not as growth, but as endurance, not as teamwork, but as tolerance. And the moment you accept that mindset, you start shrinking yourself to fit her chaos. You deserve someone who holds themselves accountable, someone who don't expect you to suffer through their storms just to see the sun, someone who say, I got flaws, but I'm working on them. That's love. That's partnership. So don't let a pretty phrase fool you into staying where peace don't live. Because real love ain't about handling someone, it's about healing together. And if she proud of her worst but lazy with her best, then it's time to let her handle herself. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for both of you is walk away and stop confusing pain with passion. When she look you in the eyes and say, you should be lucky to have me, that's not confidence, that's control talking. That's ego dressed up like value. That's somebody who forgot that love is a two-way exchange, not a throne for one person to sit on while the other one worships. See, when someone truly know their worth, they don't gotta say it. Their energy speaks. But when they start reminding you how lucky you are, what they really saying is, don't forget, I think I'm above you. And the moment that energy enters the relationship, respect starts to fade. A healthy connection ain't built on hierarchy, it's built on balance. It's built on two people who both bring something to the table, who both pour into each other without keeping score. But when she start acting like she doing you a favor by being there, it shifts the whole energy. Now it's no longer about love, it's about leverage. She's no longer building with you, she's building her pride on top of you. And once that happens, no matter how much love you got, you already losing ground. See, love ain't supposed to make you feel like you owe somebody for their presence. You don't got to pay rent in somebody's life just to stay there. The right one make you feel chosen, not tolerated. But when someone tells you that you should feel lucky, they trying to plant doubt, make you question your own value, make you believe they the prize and you just a pursuer. That's manipulation dressed like confidence. And it's dangerous because once you start believing that, you stop demanding respect. You start chasing approval. You start doing extra just to keep them satisfied, buying peace with your silence, earning affection with your effort. And she'll notice that shift. She'll see that control works, and she'll use it every time she feels her power slipping. That's how emotional imbalance grows. One person learns to give less, while the other learns to settle for crumbs. Real ones don't move like that. Real love is gratitude, not arrogance. It's saying, we're both lucky to have each other. It's knowing you both bring value, your loyalty, your time, your presence, your energy. But when one person starts talking like they the blessing and you just the receiver, they forgot that blessings only multiply when both people appreciate each other. You can't build partnership on ego. It collapses under that weight every time. And here's what's crazy. Most people who talk like that don't even realize how much they're exposing themselves. They insecure, but they wear arrogance like armor. That line, "you should be lucky to have me," usually come from someone who afraid you're gonna realize your own power. They need you to stay questioning yourself because the moment you remember what you bring to the table, they lose their advantage. That's why they speak that way, to keep you small. But you can't let nobody rewrite your value just because they're loud with their self-praise. You know who you are. You know what you carry, your loyalty, your vision, your peace. And if somebody don't recognize that, you don't argue with them. You remove yourself. Because the second you start begging to be appreciated, you already trading self-respect for validation. People who truly love you don't make you prove your worth. They remind you of it. They see your flaws and still speak life into you. They don't make you feel lucky to have them. They make you feel grateful you both found each other in a world that rarely gives genuine connection. That's love, not dominance, not pride. So when she say that line with that smug smile, remember she just showed you her mindset. She don't see partnership, she see position. And once somebody see themselves as the prize, they stop putting in effort. They stop communicating, stop growing, stop reflecting, because in their mind, they already enough. And love can't breathe in that kind of energy. It suffocates under it. You can't build peace with someone who think your presence is a privilege. Because real ones don't talk down on the people they love, they uplift them. They don't remind you how lucky you are to have them. They remind you how blessed they feel to have you too. That's balance, that's maturity, that's real connection. So don't let that line trap you. You're not lucky, you're worthy, you're not blessed just because somebody lets you love them. You blessed when that love flows both ways. You blessed when the energy you give comes back to you with the same effort, same respect, same loyalty. And when you meet someone who move with that energy, who don't make you feel small just to feel big, that's when you'll know what real love feels like. It don't demand gratitude, it creates it. It don't ask for worship, it earns respect. And that's the kind of love you build with, not the kind you gotta survive.